Outcries continue over the death of George Floyd. Last night, people protesting in
Stop letting people talk you out of your power.
How do we build a movement that allows us to respond to all the names that people don't know?
People begin to think it's isolated. That's the problem. We're not angry enough.
This is Life After the Impact, a podcast for impacted families by impacted families that focuses on what happens after the media, the lawyers, and the activists are gone.
When the cameras are gone, people leave. We have to be there for each other.
Impacted families are left to face the loss of a loved one to police-sponsored violence. We will focus on their continued fight for justice and how you can get involved.
I tell families, fight.
Everybody can do something, that you don't have to sit home and feel helpless and hopeless.
We gotta stop allowing people to talk us out of our power. That's the main thing.
Life can't change overnight, but we gotta start somewhere. Might as well go ahead, start here. We didn't.
Good evening. My name is Roxanne Johnson. My son's name is Jamal Byrd. He was killed by DC Metropolitan Police, October the 1st, 2019. I'm here with my host this evening, my co-host, Latoya Benton. Good evening, Latoya.
Good evening, Roxanne. You guys are welcome to Life After the Impact. My name is Latoya Benton, the mother of Xavier Hill. Xavier was 18 years old when he was taken from us by Virginia State Police, January the 9th, 2021. So unfortunately, but fortunately, we're here again on another Tuesday with another family. Yvonne, you want to go ahead and give a brief introduction of who you are and who you're representing tonight, please?
Hi, I'm Yvonne. I'm representing Alejandro Campos Rios that was killed on March the 6th by Fullerton PD out of Orange County in California.
Well, we're glad to have you this evening, Yvonne. We hate the circumstances under which we. So our condolences to you and your family. Can you tell us a bit about what happened? How did it come that your husband was taken from you by the police?
On that morning, I'm assuming he had a mental crisis because all I know was I saw the video that they had posted up, and all he was doing was outside. Looks like he had to use the restroom, and I guess they didn't want to let him in, so he kind of got upset, and he just, I guess he had anxiety, really bad anxiety and stress. So I'm assuming that kicked in, and he was just having a mental illness crisis at that moment. And so the police, the McDonald's called 911 saying that there was two men outside acting erratically, and that they were going to have employees coming in that morning because it was at 3:15. The next crew probably should have came in around 5 o'clock that morning or 4 o'clock, and she was scared that they were going to do something to her, but it wasn't that the case. He wouldn't harm anybody. He obviously looked like he wasn't all there anyways, so to let alone to hurt anybody. So she called 911 and they send out one patrol car, and then after that, when they told him that he was extremely 11-550, then they started calling more officers out that morning. So there was a total of 6 officers that were called for one man that was having a mental crisis issue. They didn't call any crisis team out as supposedly they're supposed to call mental health crisis team. That was not called out. They just kept calling one officer after an officer. And then you can hear them on their radio saying he's 11-550. So he was under the influence of something.
What does that mean, 11-550?
I'm assuming that is under the influence, and that he was not corresponding to their commands or something. I still don't know what that 11-550 is because that's what the term that they used. But that's what I'm assuming. It means that they have a man here that's not complying and he's under the influence.
11.
They didn't know of what.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's like a California, like maybe type. That was the police saying that to each other, right?
Correct. That's what they were calling in to dispatch, letting them know that he was 11550 and that they needed to send more officers out.
Mm-hmm.
And then since he wasn't complying, they started using tasers. The tasers weren't working, so they used the projectiles, non-lethal projectiles, and that wasn't working. So, and then all of a sudden, they're saying that one of them pierced his chest, and he just went down. But to me,
yes,
yeah, that the projectile hit his chest and pierced it and caused him to bleed out.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was the case, because there's another video that shows him grasping his arm, back of his forearm, and you see blood gushing down from his forearm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So to me, that was not from a projectile, and that was not from a taser. That's got to be from a live round.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So these violence workers, also known as the police, were they indicted, or what has happened with them?
Nothing has been happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
According to the DA, they said it takes up to a year for their investigation.
Okay. Okay.
But Yvonne, when did this happen again?
March the 6th of this year.
And you guys, so again, Roxanne, this is probably, I think, what kind of like baffles me. We'll talk to this probably, well, again, another family who we'll speak with, right? And because you got to think about it, that's been another 6 months ago. So has your family at all been able to see any kind of footage? Or you said you didn't see the tape already?
Yeah, they have already. They released the video cam of the 6 officers that were out there. Plus there was somebody out there videotaping at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So there was footage out there.
Mm-hmm. And so what was there, have you talked with the people who enforce the laws in our country, also known as violence workers? Have you talked with them at all
No.
You haven't had a meeting with them or anything?
No.
What was their reason for using that kind of force on your husband?
No, there's no explanation. He was only 150 pounds. So they could have tackled him. Right. There's multiple entrances at that McDonald's where they could have went through and came up from behind him and, tackled him, but they chose not to. They just chose to do whatever they wanted to do.
So you guys had I think you had a protest last week in honor of your husband. How did that go as far as community support was concerned? Was the community supportive? Or because, a lot of times we talk about how, the Black and brown community, we're the ones who are affected the most, but depending on where you're at and the kind of support you get, the community may or may come out. So how did that go for you last week?
That went pretty well. We had over 30 people that came out. I did have a couple organizations that came out. Also the newscast came out. Channel 4 with Channel 52 came out and videotaped as well. And of course, local paper. There's the Fullerton Observatory. They also came out to record, to post it and everything. And then of course there was other supporters that also are other support group out there as well, that they videotaped, and so that way it could be broadcast out as well
to everyone else. And outside of them coming out there to videotape and support, what do you want from the community as far as them supporting you?
I just wanted more people to come out, and because there was also another death back in 2011, which was the homeless man at Thomas at that time. and supposedly they were supposed to be reformed, but obviously they're not reformed because obviously they killed somebody. And regardless, they quoted him as a homeless man, and also Kelly Thomas was homeless as well. But of course, they weren't homeless. They just, at that moment, they were just out at that moment. So they want to stratify that because they're homeless, that they didn't have any family. They did have family. Kelly Thomas had family. Alejandro had family. It's just that they were having a mental crisis issue at that moment, that they chose them to be on that street at that moment.
Yeah. And being homeless is not a crime.
Right.
No.
And you know, the other thing that we know, Yvonne, is that people with mental illness are 5 times more likely to have a negative experience with law enforcement. 5
Yes.
times, right? We also
Right.
our correctional facilities, jails, detention centers are filled with over 40 to 50% of the people in there have mental health issues that are not being addressed.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's a epidemic on that.
Epidemic, right? Because
Right.
they help not to be harmed, and they need help.
No, they need help. Yeah.
help.
And choose, because there are adults that they can't have help. It's
Mhm.
like, I tried to get him help, but because he was an adult,
Allowed
nobody
to,
chooses to help.
yeah, and they're allowed to refuse it.
Yeah. And see, and that's not right either, because they need help, but also they need guidance. And of course, the only way the guidance, it has to be an adult. It's not like they're children that,
Right.
there has to be a different way to handle the mental illness when they know they need help, but they won't get the help, but they need a family member, somebody to step in for them to get them committed. And they chose not, they said, oh, because they're adults, there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, and this country went through a big what we call deinstitutionalization of mental health back in a long time ago, back in the 80s. A whole idea of letting people out who, maybe they weren't a harm to themselves or others at the time,
Right.
but because of the type of mental health issues that they have, they could potentially be a harm to themselves or others. And like you're saying, giving them rights, and then family members have to actually, ask the courts for guardianship.
Yeah.
Right? Try to help them.
Because
Right?
like Alejandro's case, he had a psychiatrist, and I even called his psychiatrist and I said, he needs help. He's not well. And they said, well, there's nothing we can do. If he doesn't call, then there's not much we can do. But he's under your guys' care.
You know what?
Nothing.
I think that kind of goes back to, how you have these school shootings, right? And they will go back and they'll charge the parents because they'll say the child was under the parents' care and you were responsible. And it's how the child got this gun. I would think it should still kind of go back to the psychiatrist again. If this person still let out into the streets and the family has called for help and you decided to still do nothing, again, it goes back to who we're holding accountability for. It's not just the police officers too. It goes back to the psychiatrists too.
Yeah. Because like I said, I called them for him to get help. And they said, well, we can't do anything unless he calls. You're not on his medical form, so there's not much we can do. I'm like, that's just wrong, because I know your information. I've been in your office. I've been in there with him, and you're trying to say that because I'm not on the medical thing that there's nothing you can do.
I found that interesting, Yvonne, too, and I really want to find out what this code means. It's
550.
Yeah, 550, because I want to know if it had something to do with one with mental health, because it always makes you think, if they keep saying, that only he could have gotten help, that he would have called the office, but then y'all expect for a mental patient to be able to comply. Like, so it's almost like how do you get a person the same option to not take help, But then when I get here, I'm going to force you to then do the same thing. That contradicts what the person taught the whole time. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it goes back to when we say, how these cases are handled. Again, because the police didn't have to come out there. If he committed no crimes, what are y'all coming out there for? Roxanne Arthur said a lot of the times they tend to heighten situations up, then they tend to help things out.
Yeah.
Right. They create the crises that they.
Yes. I think on this one, they created the crisis because they kept calling one officer after another, and with his anxiety and everything probably went up through the roof, and he was more probably scared than anything, and just made it. I think they just made it worse.
Yeah, and their only solution, and their only solution is to use harm.
Yeah.
Violence.
Yep.
Now, so when it comes to the DA's office, the person who could prosecute these officers, you said you have not been in contact with them. They have not been in contact with their family?
No.
At
all.
Do you have their information?
I don't have their information.
We might need that, sis. We might have to give them a call or two. We might need that.
Yeah. To get them moving and to let them know that we're watching them and we expect accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when, they take it as, when there's no noise that they're, they don't have to do anything. Right. So we got to push them in a direction. They work for us. They, whether they were voted in or appointed, they work for us. And so sometimes they do need a push. Yeah.
Now, while we're speaking, our producer in the back, she sent a little message to us saying what a 11550 means, a code in itself. It says on here that it means a person should not use or be under the influence of any controlled substance. That is one specified in a subdivision B or sub C. It has a couple paragraphs below that. So I guess they're pretty much saying that like he must have been on there. I guess they're trying to say he was on a controlled substance versus saying there wasn't. But again, they wouldn't know that. You know what I mean?
No.
They have no way of knowing that. Like, you can't just assume that. So yeah.
Because with the 911 call, the manager at McDonald's told them that they were under the influence of drugs.
Yeah, but they wouldn't know that either, though. Like, unless the manager told them the drugs, how would he know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They assume everything, but that's what they took it as, that he was under the influence of some kind of drug. So that's why they sent the officers right after another.
Well, Yvonne, how can the community, once you get the numbers, I think, just me personally, the prosecutor, the DA's office, whoever has the ability to actually indict these cops should be the ones who apply the pressure too. If you're able to get the number for us, I'll be more than happy to make a phone call. I'm sure I'll be more than happy to make a phone call as well too, because the pressure has to be applied there. We went to court today for a case in Fairfax, and when it first happened, everyone was actually, they was there. It was right there. But when it came time to actually go to court, it wasn't people in the courtroom today. So I think, us as a community, we have to be the ones to actually make the calls. So when you get that number, please be sure to give it to us so we can help you out. Those calls for you as well.
Okay.
Do we have a picture of her loved one that we could put up? Because I like to put a face. We're not talking in abstract. These are real people, real lives. They have real families. There we go. Thank you. Yeah. Nice smile. Like a smile.
Yeah.
Alejandro.
That was actually our last picture that we took together.
Who are you guys at?
We were at a Halloween party.
Okay. He's not a gangster in real life?
He kind of is, but in order for me to get him dressed, I had to put him in his little comfort zone.
Okay.
So I told him, okay, this is what we're going to go as for him to dress up.
Looks like y'all had some joy going on that day. So yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, he had a lot of fun that day.
Now, I know there's an upcoming event soon that you want to speak about as well. And I think, not just in your area, but I think everyone else could also kind of like latch on to this. Going to speak about this as well, Yvonne.
Yeah, we're having the National Day of Protest to stop police brutality on October 22nd. We're going to be in front of City Hall. And we're asking for all the families that are also impacted by police brutality to come out and speak on behalf of their loved one. So we can get more people out there and spread the word so that way they know that we're not going anywhere, that this is going to have to stop.
And what city will this be in?
This is going to be the city of LA.
LA.
Downtown.
All
yes.
Right. Guys, know if you're watching tonight and if you can't fly over to LA, it in itself is a National Day of Police Brutality. So that's going to be on October 22nd. Again, just gather somebody, you can gather within your own space and still protest and still stand up on that day as well.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we Yvonne, if you get more information about how you're organizing or needing community support, please let us know. We will put it on our Facebook page. You'll also be on our website. So yeah, so that everybody will know. But people in is it outside of Anaheim? You were saying near Disneyland?
Yeah.
Get involved. Find out what's going on with this case, but more importantly, get involved with this case. So it shouldn't have to happen to you for it to matter to you.
Yeah.
That's
right.
And y'all should be concerned about, you say all the time, if she just said this case happened back in March, we are in September, like pretty much in the middle of September, actually, right?
Right.
It should be concerning that, one, they haven't said anything to the families at all as far as what's going on with the case. And that's like total. Am I correct, Yvonne?
Right.
So again, oftentimes people say, well, maybe they're just waiting around for this. No. Imagine that was your loved one. Would you want to sit around and keep just waiting around and keep waiting around and keep waiting around? So no.
Right.
As a community, we have to begin to step up and get involved. And while I'm speaking about that, it brings to the point of this. As of right now, you guys know, well, you may not know this. Last year, might have been last year, but if my date might be incorrect. Roxanne, what was the date exactly? Do you know for Timothy Johnson? Do you know the exact date?
Oh, I don't know. I know it's been about a year, February. I want to say February of last year, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. So as we talk about again about community support, we spent the time today to actually go down to Fairfax, Virginia, to support the family of Timothy Johnson. Please look that case up. Again, police like to put people over property, right? So we're talking about some sunglasses that were stolen. Okay. So imagine you go into one of these uppity ass malls, since it starts like we stand steel glasses like from the Gucci store, right? Y'all know them cheap ass glasses came from overseas, right? So in the store they charge about $200-300, but overseas they might cost $2 or $3 to make, right? This guy lost his life over sunglasses, so really keep that in mind.
Can I just add one thing, Latoya? He allegedly stole sunglasses because the fact he's not here to defend himself.
That's right.
Yeah.
The only testimony we have is the violence worker, also known as the police, who chased him. His life was not in danger.
At all.
He chased him and shot him over
somebody over some $2 glasses.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So even still, you chasing of your job was that, right? So the point of that being, this officer did get indicted, right? We see all the time though, a lot of injustice happen in empty courtrooms. We witnessed that today. Okay. I'm gonna say this again, you guys. People make time for what they want, but it has to be a matter of make time for what you need, right?
Right.
How it looks from the judge's perspective, he sees on this side here, literally the defendant, he had, what was it, Roxanne, 5 lawyers?
He had 5 lawyers. The police officer had 5 lawyers. Yeah.
Was 3 on the side, prosecutor's side. I think the family might have had about 4 or 5 people in there, and from the community, about 4 or 5 scattered into the pews, whatever, not right. But even still, think about the perspective from how the judge looks, right? The community has to be concerned about what's going on.
Yeah.
Anybody. Again, like Roxanne just said, they don't even know what they say Tim even did, if he even did that, because he's not here to defend himself. But according to the so-called Constitution, you're supposed to be allowed your day in court, right?
Right.
If he defend himself, he's not. So as a community,
but also it doesn't matter what he stole or what he did. He did not deserve what he got.
That's right.
That's the point. These officers are making it out to kill people, and it's not right.
Yeah.
Just because they stole something doesn't mean that they have to kill them over it.
And I'm gonna tell you this:
all right.
Even if he did deserve it, because people like to say, "Well, they didn't deserve it." Even if he did deserve it, you're supposed to still be in court, regardless. That's people miss that part all the time, right? People like to say, "Well, my son didn't deserve it." What if they did? You know what I'm saying? Even still, they're supposed to be allowed.
Even if he did deserve it, he didn't deserve to die that way.
Period. Right?
Right.
So we as a community, you guys, this court case is being held in Fairfax County at 10 o'clock. It started today at 10 o'clock. Jury selection, we sat through that today, which was very interesting. Roxanne, you want to kind of speak on that just real brief, real fast?
It was an interesting process. They had about 80 jurors in their jury pool. They had people who came up and gave reasons why they should be excused.
Lies.
There's a lot of, lies. A lot of apathy in our community, and a lot of people don't care and don't care to know about what the police are doing. Because what was interesting about this jury pool, it was mostly non-melanated people, meaning people that don't look like the three of us, right? And so I mean, it was coming out in their comments, right? Their idea about policing, they said that they some of them even said it out of their mouths that they have a bias that leans towards believing police. So
without knowing the facts.
Without even having any facts.
Without having known the facts, that's scary, right?
Scary.
Yeah.
So I think, again, our presence as a community being in the courtroom is very important. If I heard right, the judge say it'll be today, tomorrow, Thursday, and they're going to skip Friday. Roxanne, is that right?
That's right. And they're expecting the case to last a couple of weeks. So at least until October 1st. So again, people who are in the DC metropolitan area of Fairfax, Virginia, come and support this family as they seek accountability for this heinous crime.
Yeah.
This crime, your life wasn't in danger, and he's saying that it was self-defense.
Right.
Self-defense when you're running after the person that's,
Yeah. That's the problem. They have a lot to cover up.
They do.
And that's not right, because
they
all need to be held accountable for their actions.
That's right.
And DAs, they protect them, the attorneys as well, and it has to stop. Everybody has to be accountable for their own issue.
That's right.
Just like, everybody's life is valuable.
That's right.
And it shouldn't be taken because they want to be trigger happy, or any officer has PTSD should not be an officer. If they come from the military background, they mostly have a PTSD, and they shouldn't be on the force.
No.
Yeah.
None of them should be on the force. None of them.
Absolutely. We agree. We could agree on that one.
They also, their mental illness needs to be in check.
About that. And you have you have potentially mental illnesses, and you have lethal weapons at your disposal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Is there anything else you would like us to know this evening, Yvonne? Anything else that we can add to this discussion?
No, that's it. Just that Alejandro was a grandfather and a father, and he just didn't deserve what got to him. Like I said, just because he had a mental illness, and they chose to protect McDonald's, And it's sad because they're the ones that called the 911 and I can't even go after McDonald's. Because they're the ones that did the initial call.
I told you I feel otherwise about that.
Yeah.
I always feel like there's a different avenue around that, because sometimes, again, you think about it in the perspective of when you'll have people who they say committed a crime, and they'll try to say, well, that they will charge that person with the crime, and they'll say, well, that person initiated the crime, right? So how come the system can be played on the same road, right? I just feel like we got to begin digging some layers back to maybe to kind of unravel that. So never say never. I always say that. Never say never.
Yeah.
Now, you guys, with that being said, as you all know, Mel, if I didn't get in my mouth, can you play the clip real fast for our legal defense fund?
For the defense fund.
So as I said, Yvonne, never say never. I do believe that, we believe, should I say, we have to build a community where we're able to fight back for ourselves, right? Because they'll tell you all the time that we can't do these things, and it's because we don't actually do our own homework. We'll believe those things, right? So impact. I myself have been faced with the challenge of to having to pay out of pocket for legal defense for my son. And then we've met all these other moms who either wanted to file, or they couldn't file, or they couldn't afford to file. So we're making it our business to actually raise the money so that when these things happen, we can actually do the research and we're able to actually fight back as a community. With that being said, you guys saw the short clip we had on here. We did hit partial our goal of $500. Kudos. But we need more money. So if you guys will please help us reach our goal of $1,000. Again, it's important that we can show up to court. It's important that we can actually, be able to fund lawyers as well. We're trying to support our community defense fund, and it has to start putting grassroots going on. So we are doing the work. We ask you guys, please continue to support the work on YouTube, Instagram. Just please share it on Facebook. Be sure to share and please donate. We also sent out a survey. We sent a survey out, you guys. We got the survey link. Please be sure to take the Breathe survey. It helps us to know where we can bridge the gap at and what's needed in the community. We're going to make a small announcement too about the survey. Look out for that this week as well. If you have gotten a link, take the time, please, to fill the survey out. And there's a part at the bottom as well about comments. And then we might have missed, you want to add on to, please let us know. Because again, we don't have all the answers. I don't think nobody does.
No.
But I think we can, as a community, keep working together. We can begin.
That's right. We can build a system that we want to see. We can build a system that's going to keep all of us safe. And we're responsible for that. Can't expect other people to do it for us. We have to fund our own freedom.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. It's been wonderful talking with you this evening. We look forward to getting some accountability for you and your family. And let us know how we can continue to be helpful. Yes.
Get that number. Give it to us.
Yeah. Yes.
About that action. So it's not just us being about that action. We have, as a culture, have to be about that action, right? We can't wait till it happens. Let's start being proactive and not being retroactive and doing things beforehand. So Yvonne, get that number, because you got to get a couple of phone calls.
Okay.
Let us know.
Yes, I will definitely, Latoya.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Roxanne.
You're so welcome. This has been Life After the Impact. Find out how you can get involved.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
People, they have this belief of that police don't lie and stuff, but it's like, no, they lie. They lie.
They put the L in lie. Are you kidding me? But the thing is, another way that we're culturally conditioned, right? People will believe the police, the law enforcement officials, because of their position, right? So when it comes to indicting them and to getting it to a place where they're actually found guilty, it becomes that much more difficult, because the mindset that most people have that, well, they're law enforcement, they're going to tell the truth, they're not going to do these things. But the opposite is true. They are actually perpetrating lie after lie and killing our loved ones without any accountability.
Oh, heck yeah. They have no problem. And the thing is, the line of corruption, the network, that you got the judges, you got the secretaries, you got the funeral home, you got the coroner, you have the ambulance, everyone is connected. They're so comfortable in what they do because this qualified immunity gets them off the hook. They ain't got no problem spinning that narrative, even if the narratives don't even match, like it did in Ronnie's case. Even the doctor at the medical center, he was saying this doesn't add up because the police reports that was given to him, they didn't match.